Hey, I'm meteorologist Doug Myers with the latest forecast heading into this Thursday after a night of stormy weather and yesterday's highs in the 80s. We're going to quiet things down a little bit as we head into the rest of the work week and weekend, but certainly had some heavy rain across the area. In fact, many areas got more than an inch worth of rainfall in the area. In fact, areas along Highway 36, you can see in the purple, showing getting about 3 to 5 inches worth of rain, maybe even some isolated 5 to 6 in that red just to the east of Blue Rapids. And you can see here in Shawnee County, a little bit heavier rain for areas along and south of I-70 compared to areas to the north. So just kind of depending on where you were. But at the very least, everyone got at least a quarter inch worth of rain, with the exception of southeastern Coffee County, southeast of Burlington, because once you see the dark green showing up, that indicates at least a quarter inch worth of rain. Let's zoom out and take a look at the storm reports that we had across the middle part of the country yesterday. There were a lot of them, and we saw several tornado reports as well, and several hail and wind reports specifically here in northeast Kansas, and I'll talk about some of the highlights from those in just a second. But the tornado reports were just outside the WIBW viewing area. Nothing here in northeast Kansas, at least not reported yet. That does not mean the Weather Service won't go out to survey some damage that could potentially have been a tornado, so don't be surprised by a report that comes in later today that a tornado did end up dropping on any of those warnings that we've had from overnight. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But here's a couple of our storm report highlights. Got a 76 mile per hour wind gust in Emporia, 2-inch diameter hail in Chapman and Milford. As I mentioned, we're getting a break from the storm activity for a while, as temperatures today will be much cooler, from 80s yesterday to 60s today, mix of sun and clouds. And those northwesterly winds will continue to remain strong, near 30 miles per hour this morning, but eventually weakening a little bit by this afternoon, getting closer to 15-25 miles per hour. So that'll help a little bit by this evening. And then once we get into tonight, the winds do relax a little bit, but pick up again shortly after sunrise tomorrow, with wind gusts out of the west-northwest gusting near 30 miles per hour once again. And that'll continue to usher in cooler temperatures, at least with mostly sunny skies, and we'll continue with the cool temperatures for these next 8 days. In fact, the warmest temperature may end up being today for the next 8 days, especially considering next week we'll have a couple of opportunities for rain, potential washout conditions for Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'm not saying it's going to be extremely heavy rain the entire day, just might mean it's going to be raining for much of the day. Obviously, we have to get past this weekend before we get more details on next week. But more specifically this weekend, we're going to be talking about lows near or below freezing for both nights, Friday night and Saturday night. So the rain was good for the gardens last night. The frost and or freeze over the weekend is not going to be good for the gardens. Now, looking beyond the 8-day forecast, looking at drier than normal conditions. So once we get past the rounds of rain for next week, it does dry out a little bit, which will help. Obviously, we do need the rain, so we'll take what we can get. And the below normal temperatures do look to continue through early May. So, like I said, if you're a fan of the 80s that we've had for much of this month, in fact, much of the past couple of weeks, we're not going to get it until May. So we might get in the 70s. We might have 70s. It's certainly possible, especially as we get towards the end of next week and to the following week and early May. But I really think we're going to be dominated by highs in the 50s and 60s and lows in the 30s and 40s to end the month. So at least we'll have the sun, especially tomorrow through the weekend, but also a little bit of it today. So have those sunglasses nearby. And even though it does get cooler, if you're going to spend some time outside, remember the sunscreen. We still have the same sun angle as we did yesterday with highs in the 80s. And it gets even worse as we get more and more into the start of summer. So that sun angle is only going to get worse, leading to a higher probability of your skin burning if you don't have proper protection quicker. So even though it stays cool, don't forget that. Have a great day and stay safe.